Alright folks, we've shown you a lot of videos on how to get these various pieces of equipment set up and ready to record. What we're going to do now is kind of put everything together and actually do some recordings and kind of illustrate in sound form the differences between these microphones and some basic miking techniques. So the first one we're going to do is the Sennheiser Shotgun. We saw the video where we put this into the Zeppelin, so you should be able to do that on your own. And as well we can use this boom pole to kind of telescope this out to an appropriate length. It's all based on what you want to do. Make sure that those are snug and it's not going to go anywhere. So this microphone, of course, is the electric condenser microphone, so it's good at picking up really quiet sounds. And also the pickup pattern with a hypercardioid means it's very, very focused. So if I aim this at something that's making the sound, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and start recording some sound. You can hear the difference. So if I'm syncing this audio up now and I'm aiming this right at me, you can get a sense of how that sounds, rich with presence. But if I aim it somewhere else and I'm speaking, you can still probably hear me. I can still see the levels, but certainly not the same presence because the pattern is directed that way. So with these miking techniques, I'm going to have my assistant Arlo come up here and help a little bit. Okay, so as you can see here, we have somebody in the frame, and say this is our subject, our interview subject, or our actor. And let's go ahead and make sure this is recording me. There we go. You can hear the difference. We're going to go ahead and record some lines with Arlo to kind of show you the difference and some different microphone techniques. You notice that I'm wearing headphones. This is critical for being able to monitor that sound, but I'm also looking at my sound levels, and I'm getting levels between -20 and -12, so I know I'm good for this. I'm going to be moving a little bit of a distance away because the idea here, you can see this mic in the frame, but you know, in real production, you shouldn't see this microphone. So we need to move it a little bit away. And so we're going to have to make sure that it's far enough away not to be seen, but still close enough to get good presence and a good recording. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a tactic where I am going up above and out of the frame. And we'll kind of see how that works. So right now you can see my microphone in, and I'm off to the right-hand side. But I'm going to bring this out of the frame. Hopefully it's out of the frame by now. And I'm a little bit in front of Arlo so that I'm angled toward him. So Arlo, go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, your name, your age, what grade you're in, and maybe what subjects you're in at school.
Hi, I'm Arlo Plow. I'm currently 14 years of age. The subjects I have in school are English, algebra, science, social studies, industrial arts, and band. And I'm currently in the 8th grade.
Great. Thanks, Arlo. So you can see at that point I was out of frame, hopefully, because I got nobody behind the camera to verify that. But hopefully I was out enough of the frame, but I still had that mic close, and I was up and over the frame, but still pointing this directly at Arlo as he was reciting his lines. So that's a pretty tried and true miking technique. Also, what I want to say is a really good boom op never really inadvertently touches the microphone or anything connected to the microphone. So hear that. You can hear that. You can hear that. You can hear that. Even the cable. So anytime you're bumping around or things are rubbing up against the microphone or anything connected to the microphone, those sounds translate. Another microphone technique would be, I'm very careful with all my cables here, is to come down below the frame. So I'm going to come in front and down below. I think I have to get all the way down below this table. And so, Arlo, why don't you tell us what you enjoy most about concert band, including the instrument that you play?
What I enjoy most about concert band is, that all my good friends are in band and all the people there are super nice. And the music that we play is quite enjoyable as well.
And did you mention what instrument you played?
Oh, I play B-flat clarinet.
Cool. So you can see that I had to get a little further away from Arlo in this shot. And so what I did is I actually raised my recording levels. And you can see it's kind of a breezy day, so I can hear that wind. But what I can't hear is the real, I can hear it rustling through the tree leaves, but with this windscreen I don't really hear that of wind actually striking the diaphragm of the microphone. So as long as this is out of frame, you want to get it as close as possible, and with this tight pattern you want to make sure you're aimed directly at the person making the sound, because it makes a huge difference when you do that. All right. Okay, folks, so we're back again with another microphone, demonstrating another microphone here. This is the Shure SM57. It's a dynamic microphone, so it doesn't require electric power. It's also one that is better for recording really, really loud noises, but it has to be physically close. So I've got the Zoom recording. The recording levels are pretty much maxed out, and I'm holding this right to my face, and I'm getting right around -20 to -12 dB on that. But there's really no more gain for me to apply to the system. So if I move this away from myself, you can see that even though it's pointed directly at me, it's not really doing an effective job unless I have this right here. So this is one of those things, if you're doing vox pops, voice on the street type things, impromptu interviews, this is great because you can like put it right up in somebody's face. However, in the era of COVID, that's not a really great idea, because if somebody is not wearing a mask and they happen to be contagious, they're going to infect the surface area of these microphones, including this windscreen. And then you put it up to somebody else and they might breathe in, and then we've got all kinds of spread. So actually these microphones are cleaned with using UV light wands. So UV light will sanitize this. Don't ever use sanitizing wipes or sanitizing fluid on microphones. It will damage the internal components. Okay, that's it for the cardioid microphone. Let's move on to the lavalier. All right, folks. So this is the last microphone that we're going to be kind of demoing today. This is the Countryman V3 lavalier. There's 2 or 3 of them in the equipment room that come in cases like this, all self-contained. And they come with different clips. So this tiny little thing is the microphone. I don't know if you can see that there. We might get some insert shots later. Don't worry about it, Arlo. We'll get some insert shots later. But we have this little clip here, and we have a tiny little windscreen. You can see I'm kind of rubbing that there and the sound that it's creating. It's wired, so it's connected to this connector here, which then connects to an XLR cable, which then gets connected to our Zoom H4n. So clipping these things on is important. This comes with a little clip here, as you can see. So I'll put this like on a pocket or a belt for my subject. In this case, I am the subject, so it's pretty easy. And as well, this might get a little loud here, but it actually demonstrates something important. You're going to try to route this through clothing before you attach it to somebody's person. You really don't want a whole lot of this mic cable, and ideally not the mic itself either, being visible in the frame. In nonfiction work like documentary, it's acceptable to see a little bit of the mic, certainly in news broadcasts and things like that. But in fiction work, absolutely not. You cannot see that mic at all. So a lot of people, they develop an art form of how to safely secure this underneath wardrobe. Now the problem is, we'll get a sense as I route this up through my sweatshirt here. Ooh, you hear that? This is the danger of using lavaliers is, if this is under clothing and it starts rubbing against clothing, it doesn't take a whole lot, and that sound is unusable. So we need to be careful. Now with these clips here, I'll go ahead and clip that so the mic stays on the exterior of the lapel. And so now this is fairly stable. I'm not getting any clothing noise. Moving around, moving my arms, gesturing wildly, as I'm a very dynamic speaker. And I'm still not getting any interference from the clothing rubbing around. But this mic is on the outside of my clothing. If I change this up because I didn't want to see the mic. I put it on this side, which allows the mic to be underneath. Okay, I'm still doing fairly well, and actually this protects it from the wind noise a little bit. The wind's kicked up a little bit. This is nice. Actually, I did a pretty good job because I'm moving around. I'm not getting much clothing noise, but there's the cable. This is the mic. Actually, that's not too bad at all, so that's pretty good. The more stable that is, the better. So this would be acceptable for non-fiction work, but if I were doing fiction work and I needed to use a lavalier, which is pretty rare actually, then I would definitely secure this underneath the clothing a little bit more. We'll get another insert shot with this, but as I get this off of here, I've secured this with what's called a broadcast loop. So there are two little tiny attachment points where the mic cable attaches to the clip. And so I attach the mic cable where it's closest to the mic, and then I give it a little sort of half-inch loop, and then I connect it there. What that does is that reduces strain on the mic cable attachment, and that prolongs the life of the microphone, because these are the first things that fail with these microphones, is the mic cable. It's a tiny little cable. When these things fail, you just got to throw it out. All right, so that's the basic how-to for lavaliers for nonfiction and fiction work. It takes practice. And the other thing too is you got to remember that you're probably not going to be miking up yourself. You're going to be miking up another person, which requires that you have your hands on that person. So be sensitive to that. Ask somebody if it's okay that you place your hand there, or ask them if it's okay if they wire it up. But you want to have complete control over mic placement and where the cable goes. So you need to make sure that somebody's comfortable with that. And then as well, during COVID era, people aren't really using a whole lot of lavaliers. They've gone back to using shotgun microphones simply because of the physical proximity, and as well the proximity to somebody emitting aerosolized, molecules from their mouth. If they are contagious, then that's going to get on the microphone. Again, you have to sanitize that using UV light. But hopefully this video helped out a little bit, and you can use this as a jumping off point for your own projects.